tomorrow.
Yes.
Secondly, I got someone under contract last week, and it's
Also
a really happy thing, because like her lease is up September 12th, we're closing September 8th.
Ooh,
She's been at it.
nice.
And then my one that closes tomorrow gave me a referral who's now going through pre-qual, so that's awesome. And I had somebody else reach out to me yesterday with another referral. So how's that? All the
Things are cooking for you. Nice. Nice. All right, who's gonna beat that? I'll try, but I was like, I was just kidding. You can.
Darn good listing, but you know.
Yeah. So I was circle prospecting, trying to find listings, ended up finding a property. We went and saw it yesterday, and our buyer actually is gonna go see it tomorrow. Yeah.
So that whole circle prospecting thing works.
Yeah, I call that, I'm the exact conversion rate because circle prospecting is 1 out of 100 are gonna get a listing appointment. Yeah. And I called 98 people.
Ahead of the curve.
You're like, there it is. There it is, exactly. Yeah.
And did you
I love
actually
it.
have 98 conversations or that's 98 dials?
98 dials, 18 contacts. And then this one was like, I talked to this person, to talk to this person, to talk to this person, and then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know the drill. Awesome. What else is good? Bucket fills, anything?
I had a pretty good open house on Saturday. It was one of Scott Nagel's listings. And yeah, I had met maybe a potential buyer for that home, so it's good. I followed up with him on Monday, and now I'm gonna follow up again with him today. So 3-5.
What else is good?
You hear the list price on that one? 0.3 million.
Oh, I was like, on what one?
Scott Nagel's listing.
Oh,
That's a
yeah,
nice,
that's
that's
super
a nice
awesome.
opportunity to meet people in that range. It's good.
Really good opportunity.
We had a really good open house this last Saturday in Mound. We had like, 20-ish groups come through, and I have 5 legit contacts that are buy sell that I'm following up with. So one that we're for sure gonna have, well, we're gonna set up an appointment after their daughter's wedding.
So buy sell.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And thank you to Barbers for letting
Yeah.
us do that. That was really generous of them.
What else? What else is good? There's a lot of things that are good. Or bucket fill.
This is Erin. She's one of my all-star clients. That's like best client ever.
Whew.
And she called a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, I think I'm into real estate. I'm like, yes,
How you do?
you're perfect for it. And so she came and she's gonna join our office.
Just beat that.
I'm
kidding. Totally kidding. What else? What else is good?
Not real estate related, but I will leave on Friday to run from St. Paul to Duluth for Ragnar Road.
That's a long way.
Need for families that can't afford for their kids to play hockey, and we've raised over $1,000 so far.
Do you have the link?
How long is that run?
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page.
It's on your Facebook,
right? You have to run all day, all night, and you just keep going, and everybody does 3 legs and 2 vans, and you just keep rotating until you get there, and then you get to Duluth, and you're on Lake Superior, and
So cool.
My mom did it.
I'd be relaxing by like, but I'll be thinking about it.
Wow.
What else? What else is good?
Well, no one said anything about the weather, so I'll say something. It's awesome outside.
Yeah.
It's not super hot.
It's actually like enjoyable. Yeah. Anybody online have anything fun? Good. Bucket fill. I'm gonna bucket fill the leadership team because I essentially laid a lot on them in the last few days of just like new contacts to import, and it took us about 48 hours to find what is kind of a smooth sailing system now. And yet at first when I gave Lydia you know, 50 new contacts a day and said, here, can you import these and make sure that it's passed. She was like, right? And like just did it. And then all of a sudden the next day she's like, we need a better system. But like, yeah, I really appreciate it because that's the piece that slows me down. So I appreciate that. And then Candy's doing importing them into the newsletters as well. So anything else? Otherwise, we will attempt to move on. I don't know if I'm gonna have, okay, we're gonna keep doing some bucket bills currently.
I have a bucket.
Yeah.
He's not here, but we did a mid-year review with our team and some recruiters, and Jake Lures was willing to be a guest speaker at our mid-year review, and that just meant a lot that he take time out of his schedule and that you also attended, and yeah, grateful for leadership that show up. And then he sent me a thank you card. I was like,
Good at that.
yeah.
It was a really, I mean, it was powerful, like that whole session and kind of what you provided was really good. Amazing for your team. Anything else?
Bucket bill, Wendy.
We can keep doing this. Bucket bill.
I was kind of in a bind over the weekend and I just needed some open house signs, and at a drop of a hat, Wendy gave me 15 of them to come pick up and sold the house from an open house.
There you go.
Oh.
Perfect.
You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it's like,
it doesn't
it came in handy. All right, what else? Anything else good happening? No? Okay, we're gonna reverse this then. Who's been reading the book, the MREA? 2 people, awesome. Who has read it at least before? Okay, there's more that have read it. So we started on August 2nd. Can you remind me of the pages? 31. Okay, so, and then it's about 30 to 35 pages each time. So again, it's not like in-depth reading, right? It's kind of like, okay, fundamentals, and then it goes into different tactics and mindset, and then it goes into the models. So it's something that it might seem like 30 pages, like I don't want to read that, but really you can kind of buzz through some of them. So in this first portion, it essentially goes back to fundamentals and the foundation of building. How many of us believe that we have a good foundation right now in our business? Raise your hand. Okay, what makes it a good foundation? I asked this because there was 3, right, out of how many, that sometimes it's what makes a good foundation in a business?
Database.
Database, okay?
Systems around the database,
Okay. What else?
management systems. Support staff. Work ethic.
What happened after systems? Model? Okay.
It was said, Brooke said operation.
And operations.
I would say it's kind of together. If you don't have operations, you can still be a solo agent that has a system in place for that.
This kind of goes with database, but I would say lead flow, like how to fill the funnel.
So lead generation.
Yep.
I think that's almost even separate, right? Because we have this and the actual lead generation, we still have to feed the database. So even if you have 100 contacts, in order to grow at any point in time, you're gonna have to still feed the database, right? Okay, what else? Okay,
There would, like, for real estate, like where your brokerage fits in there, like, would that be like your systems or your models or your?
I would say that'd probably be more of a system, right? Because it's gonna be, or it could be part of your operation. So like kind of both of
Gotcha.
those, right? Because that's gonna be the training. That's gonna be what CRM they have. You know what I mean? Kind of fits into there. I could think of at least 2 more in this piece. What goes into running a business? Yeah,
Leadership.
plan. Well, yeah, plan could be in models, right? So this could be the same thing. So those that just said that they have a really good foundation, how many of you know your numbers year to date? Right now, if I ask GCI, units, volume, profit and loss? Okay, raise your hand higher, because this is actually something I want to know who knows that. Okay, and the reason I say this is to actually run a really good business, you need to know this. Right? All of this is going to feed it, but you could have the largest database in the world and you could have the most expenses in the world and be completely flip-flop. Right? And the reason I say these things, if you read the book, there's a whole diagram, right? And it's, I know you guys have seen it before. So what goes on the bottom?
Please.
Of this? Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking just
Model.
a triangle.
Model. Yep. What goes on the top? Okay. How are most of our triangles?
The other way.
Right? Because we're like, oh, guess what? I've got this really cool thing and I'm going to just like try it out. And we're just going to see what goes, right? So this is, oh, there it is. Oh, look, it works now. That's what you guys were doing.
It's on this.
Oh, perfect. Oop, wrong way. Oops, there you go. So this portion, right, is what we're talking about. When you go back to the fundamental, part of models is knowing your numbers, not just knowing your database numbers, not knowing what your tracking is, all of those. And I just shared with the PC group, right, is we just went through kind of a mid-year review just for the market center. Right? We are also a business. That's what this market center is. It's a business, right? So we need to know what our profit is. We need to know what our loss is. I need to know what gross, because that obviously gross agents is one and productivity is a number that we need to know, right? What we found out is there are a lot of people getting out of the business completely, and there's not as many people getting into the business. Okay, so number one thing to actually drive a brokerage is gross agents in and those agents being productive, right? If you guys recall, we used to go over numbers in, and we might actually go through them today, or otherwise ALC. And our productivity for our agents was in the like low to mid 20s for some time, right? So that meant that 24% of our agents were producing and were making money. You remember those conversations in like January, December, and February, right? Well, last month and the month before, we were in the 40s. So that meant that over 40% of our agents were producing. But that's something on me as well. How do I get you into production? Number two, our gross agents are down. Who's that on? That's on me, right? So when I just bucket filled the leadership, do you want to know why that is? Because there is a major shift. When I looked at those numbers, what has to happen for that gross to increase, right? What is that? Getting in front of more people. Getting in front of a lot more no's. Getting in front of a lot more people that tell me I have no value to them, yet their business is down by 30% and they might get out of the business. Right? They're really awkward, weird conversation. Like, oh, I'm having a great year. Tell me about that. Right? Because nobody wants to say that they're having a bad year. Nobody wants to say that. Or they just don't know. They really don't have any idea. But this is what it looked like sometimes coming into this role, right? And it's not just me on the TL. I mean, you can even speak to this. It's like, oh, I'm going to be really creative. We're going to do fun things. Everyone's going to like me, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't work. Unless I'm doing 50 dials a day and increasing that gross by at least 5 agents a month, it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a business. Right? That's real. That's me, not as an agent, right? So I'm being transparent. That's why I'm asking you to be transparent. When I'm saying, do you know your numbers? What are you doing to get to the place that you want to be? It's a real question. Yesterday, I texted Heather and said, do not let me open that door until I have 50 dials. And now I have to print off my sheet that says I have 50 dials each day. Why? Because I need that. I need that and yesterday I didn't want to call. I didn't want to talk to anybody yesterday. Like nobody. And I set 2 appointments on those calls. I got hung up on like 4 times and I got 16 other no's. And I was calling Coldwell Banker. That was really fun. It just is what it is, right? So can I ask the question again? Who has a really good foundation or who has this? Raise your hand.
I think, so I would argue we have really good systems and models, and I would argue we're on the left. However, I think that sometimes,
You're here.
yeah, I would say even as a team that's up this year significantly, we can be topsy-turvy, and I'll even argue our ego gets in the way and you shift to the right. We just had to have a Jess is shaking her head because we just had a conversation.
This is very real. And
Very
this
real.
is why I asked the question, because I think we automatically are like, this, yes.
Yeah.
Like,
We just had a conversation because we track all of our dials in our CRM. And I had a very direct conversation where I told the team, if you're not hitting your 50 dials a week, which is the minimum. If you have 2 pendings, you have to hit 50 dials a week. If you have less than 2 pendings, you have to hit 150 dials a week. So if you're sitting there going, okay, Cammie, I know my numbers, but my numbers suck. Because I've been in that seat where I've heard someone like you say, like, okay, you need to know your numbers. And the reality is for some people, their number is 0. So where do you go from 0 to something? I would say start with 150 dials a week.
she was not actually talking to me. She has a family. When you say dial, you mean, just FYI.
Well, no, I do mean you, like, when you're saying,
Yeah.
when you're saying to the room, if know your numbers, I'm just saying, if there's someone in the room or on Zoom that's saying, I do know my numbers and they suck, the number is 0. Because I've been in that seat before, where I'm like, whoop-de-doo, my number's 0, what the bleep do you want me to do with it? Okay, we'll start with, yes, it's 50 voice-to-voice connections, minimum, or 150. And I had gotten lazy, busy, and wasn't tracking that. And on our team, you don't get team leads where I set the appointment for you unless you're making those contacts. Well, who's been giving out leads even though they haven't been hitting their numbers? This person, because I didn't want to manage the business myself, which I'm just being real transparent. But we ended up having a conversation where I straight up said, I have 5 hot leads right now to be assigned, and none of you have earned them. So hit your 50 dials this week or I'm going to go work all of them. And it sucks as a leader because I know where I've screwed up, but I think for them, we have the model, but we haven't been following it because we got busy and that happens. But it's okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is we're going to go from stability to instability in seasons of our business, because when you're busy servicing the business, we do get more creative. But I guess 2 parts to that is like, 1, if your numbers are 0 and you're like, where do I start? I'd start with 150 voice-to-voice connections a week. And that it's okay to go from 1 to 1, just get back, correct yourself as fast as you can.
Well, and to this point, right, this leads kind of into here. It's not like you can't be creative at some point in your business, right? It's not like it has to be, you're just like blinders on, right? I mean, you guys have maybe seen this before, right? But we hit ceilings and we keep hitting ceilings, right? You see people consistently, hey, I did 5 million this year. I did 5 million this year. I can't break through 5 million. I don't know what's happening. They're following this, right? They've got the models in place. They're doing the things. Well, guess what? You have to shift that at some point too, to actually completely go through here, right? So you get through here and you just keep kind of tiptoeing right here. Well, this is where you need a little bit of creativity. How do we have to shift and improve that model? Do we have to increase contacts? And creativity isn't necessarily like, what's the cool event? It's how do you shift the model that's already there, right? And it's not, hey, I'm going to just randomly go on Facebook for 3 hours a day and go from there. Cool, do that, but what's the plan? What's the model for that? Are you going to contact 100 people? Are you going to be direct messages? Are you going to there has to be a model to that so that you can increase that and you can repeat it, right? Because I know, I do the same thing. I'll go on and I'll start talking to people. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm getting appointments from this. How can I do this on a consistent basis? I think we've all heard the 5-5-5 when it comes to social media, right? Same thing. That's a model. Follow that model and then get off social media. and then go lead gen somewhere else. If we're gonna look at this, right, where do you feel like you are right now in your business? And again, I mean, part of the book club is having discussion on this. Where do you feel like you're at right now in your business?
Right now, I feel like I'm in the midst of creating some really great habits, but I haven't seen any closings from it. So I'm getting that confidence from,
So we're
From
kind
the
of right
models.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else?
Where I'm at.
So kind of the natural ability, creating the foundation here,
Yeah.
okay? Who else?
I think we're working on implementing.
Okay.
I got the core thing in place.
Okay. Who else? This is a good thing for me to know where you're at in your business, because this is how we schedule trainings. This is what I know what to teach on, right? So if we are all under the natural ability portion, all we're going to be going over then the next 2 months should be models and systems. As much as that does not sound fun at all, that's what we should be doing, right? Nobody wants to go to those classes though. Everybody wants to go to the fun mastermind on how you're doing what you're doing. Because those are sexy. Like I'll go to Hutton House and listen to all the fun stuff. Well, guess what? If we're right here,
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
For everyone that said they're working on implementing their models, which model? Because in MRE, there's 4. So which model are you implementing? Your lead gen model? Like which one?
more.
yes, all of the above. But this is also why we're doing this book club, right? Like getting back to the foundation and the fundamentals is what's going to take us through the rest of this year, next year, and a shifting market. Can we all be very real about it? It seems very quiet and everyone looks a little bit like you're no fun right now. Like I'm feeling a little momish, like, you know, are you doing your homework kind of thing?
Not just us.
It's just.
Derek's like,
It's just
yes, yes, that is how it is coming across. But like, let's have a discussion about that, right?
Because if I can be so bold, 2 of the models don't matter if the other 2 aren't in place. Like if you're not doing that, if you don't have the economic model done first, so you know how many deals you need to do to live your best life, and you don't know your metrics to know how much lead gen you need to do to hit those, the other 2 are pointless.
And I mean, this goes all the way down to, do we track? Right? And I know everyone hates me saying it. And I know I've said it a lot. Do we track? Are we tracking our numbers? Do we know how many people we talk to about real estate per day?
Not a weekly thing, but I should be more specific now. By day. Yeah.
We have a job, right? Our job is real estate. We own a business, right? When you check into like a corporate job, I don't really know, so you guys can correct me because I've actually never worked in corporate for various reasons. Probably would have been fired. And if Jake wasn't my boss, I'd probably be fired as well. You punch a time clock, right? And then you do things and you track that, and someone's watching what you're doing, right? And if you don't do that, what happens?
Warning.
Get pulled
You
in.
get a warning, okay? You get a warning, okay? Then the next week you do the same thing. What happens then? Okay, now you got a written warning.
Someone's been in corporate America.
Someone's been in corporate America. Then you're fired. So the consensus is, no, I don't track my numbers. I maybe track them weekly. So you're fired in the first week already. That's 5 days of not tracking. Which also goes to the question of, would you hire yourself if you actually were hiring an agent on your team? On your activities, on your tracking, and on your actual job duties.
From what role?
Right? Like, I mean, that's a fair question though. Would you hire yourself? Do you know what your own expectations of yourself are as your own boss? What's your expectation?
Served, she had a choice when she prepared me. She said, yep.
I would agree.
She did make a good point yesterday, this sassy girl sitting next to me. You know, we were talking.
Would you fire Rick? Absolutely. Gordon's like, yeah.
We were just talking about different clients and, you know, whether or not how smoothly it goes with the clients and some clients like the realtor and some don't.
Yeah.
You know, some may like me, some may like Sherry, so on and so forth. And so I asked Jordan, I said, do you like me? She said, yeah, sometimes. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I would have.
What I appreciate about Jordan is your complete transparency and honesty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there's a point to this, which I think is valuable.
Can
From
you
the
speak up?
leadership
I never
standpoint.
thought I'd say that to you, but I clearly
I
did.
know, you're really quiet today.
But you can't hear me?
No, you're really quiet.
And that's to be a lot more calm, and not
I
so
know.
intense, so. Um, so I said, yeah, I would have rather, you said, yeah, most of the time, right? But then when we proceeded in the conversation and we talked about to Sherry about it too. And Jordan made up a good point. She's like, if we all like you, not everybody's gonna like everybody. It's not all gonna work out perfectly, right? I mean, there's gonna be clients that you don't like and clients that you do like. If we all liked, you know, the same people, then we'd be able to pick a president and not actually be against each other in making that selection, right? And that's a good point. So it's just a matter of knowing that it's not a perfect science, you know, and leadership's not a perfect science either. You can't just have the one person because the one person, if there's one person running everything, that one person, you may be relying on people liking or not liking that one person. So make sure you have other people on the team as well, you know, so.
That's why the rest of the leadership team is completely opposite of me.
Exactly.
They're nicer, they're calmer.
Well, and you can create some balance and you can be, you know, you can be good leaders to a much bigger variety of people when you've got a different variety of people on your team.
Yeah.
Right. So certainly don't hire people just like you know, if you're getting support staff, because that's, you know, you're not going to create any balance there.
All right, we have a whole nother half of this meeting, but we could go into this whole book club for an entire hour. What I would suggest, if you haven't read it, read those 30 pages this week, just in regards to foundation, right? We can start building foundations together. If you don't have the foundation and you don't have the models in place, and, you know, we were even talking about economic model, we can go through that again, right? I know I went through that with a lot of you already, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't shift and it doesn't change. Sometimes you're like, I don't know what my conversion rates are. Okay, great. Well, if you don't know them, then let's use a different number until we figure it out. And it's going to probably be lower than what your actual conversion rate is. And so you can have a proven conversion rate, right? They're not in here, but I was coaching with the desserts yesterday and they were like, look at how great our conversion rates. And I was like, that's really great. That means that you're not talking to anyone that you don't know. Right? And I was like, you are not going on enough appointments because that's insane crazy. And you guys are good. Don't get me wrong. But you aren't talking to enough people if that's your conversion rate all the time. And they were like, yeah, you're probably right. Right? And they have this, you know, they have this goal for trajectory. In order to do that, they got to get outside their comfort zone too.
And I'm happy to help anyone with the economic model. Come in my office. I've got everything you need.
Any questions on this stuff so far?
Can I just piggyback one last thing?
Yeah.
If you're trying to build an economic model, I think people get overwhelmed because they're like, but I'm not a cold caller. I don't call expireds. I don't, you know, whatever. And so much of MREA is built around maybe some of those lead gen levers. Look at what you did last year, or even look at what you have done year to date and double down on those, because you already have what that graph showed at the beginning of it was your natural ability. So you already have natural ability to do what you've done. Double down on those versus trying to implement a whole new lead gen lever that's going to take you 60 to 90 days to master.
Well, and let's be very honest that you don't have to be, the real scary part of that is the lead gen, right? Like you need a lead gen lever of some sort. You need to lead generate to have a business. And if you do not want to do that, do not be in this business. Like, and I mean that from like the bottom of my heart, but you need to be able to have relationships with people in order to help them, right? That's what lead generation is getting into relationship with people, whether or not it's follow-up or new people, you have to have that for your business. All the TLs were just talking the other day in accountability, and a few of them are like, oh, I hate going through numbers. Numbers are just like not a thing. That doesn't resonate with me. And I said, hey, can we all be really honest why numbers don't resonate with us? Because I don't like the numbers. Because when the numbers are really good, which we're going to go over, we really like celebrating them and we like sharing them and we're really excited. There's a whole flipping meeting every second Wednesday of the month that we go through numbers and we're excited. And we make sure that if those numbers are wrong, we're told about it because we like those numbers then, right? That's when those numbers matter. When those numbers don't matter to you is when they're down, and then we hate them. I hate numbers. It doesn't really do anything to me. No, flip the switch, guys. We have to look at numbers no matter what. When they're bad is probably when we need to look at them more. And then we can celebrate them as well. Fair? Speaking of which, let's go into some numbers.
Oh.
Great. Same thing every time. Training calendar. You can click on all the sites. Next one coming up is build a team, join a team, or stay a solo agent with Graham Smith tomorrow. I believe that's in Minneapolis. And then next week, some of us are gone for Mega Camp. And we will have the Mega Camp reveal next week as well on the 17th in Edina, right? I think that's in Edina. And then we have some really cool things during the week of the 20th, including business checkup from the neck up from yours truly. A few things to prep on that one is just where your numbers are this year and any numbers that you do track or don't track, bring them with. And then we have our collective team meeting on the 30th, and we have a collective state fair day where we're all going to be going to the state fair and we're going to meet in a nice little spot. You don't all have to hang out with each other, but we might just grab a picture there for the camaraderie culture of the office as well as the other offices that we're part of. Any questions?
What's the reveal?
It's more of like a panel, everything that
Gotcha.
people learned on from Megan.
Cool.
All right, we've got some new people that are here. Are any of them in here? I think they're on. Heather's on. Is Heather on? Heather might be on.
Mhm.
Okay, so Heather's on there. Chad, Corey, and Melissa. Which is fun. Some of them are transfers. So either way, just get to know them and ask them questions and make sure that they know that you're available to help them out. Okay.
So I am going to give this lovely award to Derek. Because I was really grateful for, I'm grateful for how you showed up and helped with impact, how you are leading the investment group for all the collective, and just how you just keep pouring into everybody all the time, and you make yourself available when I go marching down the hall with questions. and all the things. So
Well,
thank you, Derek,
thank
for
you.
all you do to
Thank you.
keep our
Yeah.
culture alive.
Everybody knows that Joe meant a lot to me when he was here, and I like to think that I just keep using the tools and skills that he helped me acquire. So, thanks.
Remember when you and Joe used to meet every week in the conference room in script practice?
Yeah, yeah, it
Can
was
we get
fun.
the new headshot, Derek?
I kind of like that guy. Doesn't show up very much. Actually, somebody has to die for that
We
to
were
happen.
talking like, we were talking about his headshot.
I know.
All right. I am figuring out that I don't like having to do like multitask.
I know.
FYI, if I'm
Do
a
you want me to
little
sit
off.
up there and move it?
No, I do not. I got this. I got this.
But I know it's
All
not.
right, so July numbers. Congratulations to Chad for his first. And here are our cappers for July. So we have Mike, Tam, Matt, and Bethany. Weddings this last weekend for 3 agents in our office. 2 of them seemed to get married to each other. And then one was marrying someone else. All right, so top individuals for listings taken. We've got Scott Nagel. You're coming. We want to do the volume with that because they're kind of all in order. Here, this is the second month though, you guys, that I want you to recognize how many individual agents have listings. Month after month, for probably the first 4 months, it was like 3 or 4. So just reflect on what you're doing right now as solo agents to get those listings, because it's been really impressive the last few months having that many of them. All right, so top individual for closed volume, we've got Scott Nagel. We have closed GCI, we have Scott in the number 1. All right, top teams. So listings taken in the top teams. We've got Strobel Group with 7. Management team with 1. Right, closed volume for top teams. Strobel Group with 3.2. Closed GCI, we've got the Strobel Group in a top groups. Listings taken is Homer's Group with 9. Those are pretty great numbers too, just in regards to how many listings are being taken. As we've had this common theme, inventory, inventory, inventory. And I think, we didn't have a ton of large numbers in the listing category for quite some time. Will you guys agree on that? So what's shifting in that, I mean, individually, teams, groups, we're getting more listings. What's shifting with that? I don't normally stop in this, but I think this is something to talk about. Are you guys calling more people? Are people ready to move?
More people and practice going more confident in what we're saying.
Okay, the scripting has been helping. Okay, what else? Magic?
Well, Tony took 8.
Yeah, Tony, you sure you're getting what?
Oh,
Did you answer your phone?
I answered my phone. No, I
actually showed up and started working a little bit.
I did. I worked a little bit. Molly and Shayna also had a couple more listings too, right?
Yeah, I don't remember what the.
I mean, I think people were on pause for a little bit, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
something has to be shifting for this many to be coming on, or at least taking. Or
We're
maybe
seeing
we're just
inventory
taking more-
build.
Yeah,
We're seeing a little bit of a shift there,
okay, okay.
Do you think too with like just economics that people are kind of settling into the fact that like this is the interest rate, so if I'm gonna move, like this is where I'm at, as opposed to for a while there, I feel like hearing you guys talk, everyone was like, oh, let's give me fire, but now people that are wanting to are settling into the reality of this is where they're at with that.
Or the reality is it may or may not go down, right?
I
Like
think-
it's sitting there right now, so it's like, okay.
I
It
think
is what
that's
it
a,
is.
I think that's a good point, Candy. Had they not done that last push to, above 7 that they just did last month, I think we'd be in a much better position because I think people were settling in over the summer. Like, okay, this is the environment it's going to be. This is the interest rates are gonna be in the sixes and that's just the way it's gonna be. And we'll start to accept that. You know, and it just took people a little bit of time to realize, okay, well, now there's a lot of people who have to move, you know, and they're like, okay, let's just set that aside and let's actually make the move. That last one was a little bit of a ding, you know, and so I think that just created that a little bit of animosity came back. If it stops, if the interest rates stop going up, in my opinion, I think people will settle in pretty quickly. And it's just gonna be what, you know, there was a really, really important conversation I had with somebody yesterday as well. My client called and said, yeah, how come we only had a single family detached villa in Shakopee that's brand new? How come we've only had a couple showings? And he's brought up the interest rates. And I said, it is a grave mistake for anybody to ever think that 3% was even close to normal. 3% is not normal. 3% will never be considered normal. It never has been normal in the history of the market. And so we have to stop thinking that 3% is a target that's normal, because it's not. It was abnormal. It was based on a worldwide pandemic that happens once every couple hundred years, right?
Sort of like saying, I want to wait till home values get back to 175,000 on average.
That will never happen, right?
The thing is when interest rate is that much, the economy suffers in some ways, right? Because you're not making money on the largest purchase of most people's lives, right? Okay, so if someone was like, hey, you can have the option to put your money in here and you're gonna get 3%. I'm gonna kind of chuckle like as if it's my savings account, right? So when you think of it that way, you really think of it in an economical like base, that was so incredibly low to really sustain anything in an economy.
Yeah, and I think
But nobody
it's,
thinks about that because it's like, it's my house. It's so like,
and if we accept that has come and it's gone, and it was an abnormal circumstance and a very unlikely thing to ever happen that we could have ever anticipated, then it gets left behind. And that's absolutely critical in this business, that it gets left behind and we get back to what normal would be. So let's look at 20-year averages, let's look at 40-year averages, you know, and let's talk to people and have those conversations about this is where we're at. This is where we would expect the interest rate to be, and to, you know, to be in a normal state of the market. I mean, the 40-year average is 8.15. So we're still a little bit under a 40-year average. But it is considered pretty normal right now.
what's really exciting about that is I know we're gonna be talking about that at MegaCamp, and you probably could still get your ticket. Otherwise, come to the reveal.
There's still seats left.
Tony was
What were
thinking
you gonna
about
say
it.
though, Tony, about the interest rate?
Well, I was just gonna say it. Interest rates are a factor, but like when we see rates come up and so it reduces affordability, all we do is we see the length that people spend in a home. If they're a repeat buyer, it just gets longer because they save up more money. They just make it be a little bit more painful. It increases the average age of the first time home buyer. Like, what are we at, 36 on our way to 40? You know, and if rates stay high, prices stay high, like it just creates more of a gap to home ownership, which maybe leads to a few less realtors. And I think it'll be an interesting thing to see it play out, but I don't think there's any reason why rates can't go back to 3% at the same time. Like we've got a world economy that's a really, really interesting situation. We've got a financial system that's put in play by our government spending crazy amounts of money and just turning that printing machine on, and that's not going to stop. Like there's going to be some sort of a change or a reset that, I don't know. I'm not all that concerned with rates or where they're at. It just lengthens the time. And it just says we got to make a few more calls to make the same sales we were. And the conversation's just a little different, but people are still going to have to buy and sell for all the reasons they do. But I think there is also a lot of pent up demand though that's building right now that'll build probably all the way through 2025, my guess.
Tony, of your 8 listings, how many of those were first time home buyers, or first time home sellers?
I maybe 1 or 2.
Ours are all people downsizing or relocating right now. If you're worried about your listings, don't focus on your young people that bought 3 years ago. They're married to their interest rate.
They're
All-
stuck for a while.
Yeah,
They
to
need
your
two,
point.
they need 2 raises first.
and to build up the equity and everything else. So when you are making those dials, like call those people, but like the people that are gonna list are the baby boomers that need one level living, or they're thinking about it down the road, or all these people that are moving out of Minnesota.
On to that point too, there are people that move repeatedly, that are like your repeat offenders. And then the other ones that just stay. They buy and they stay forever. Like, I kept and they followed up with you.
Well, they know everybody
years.
that is, they know
They
everybody
never
that's
move.
repeat offenders because they just stay. So they know everybody in that neighborhood that moves a lot.
You just sold them
Hopefully
two
they're
Minnesota
social.
house.
Hopefully they're social. All right, moving on. Top groups closed volume. We've got the Homers group with 11.2. Okay, those numbers are insane. Like, that's incredible, incredible month. All right, closed GCI, we've got Sorrento team in the #1 spot. All right, so let's talk about year over year comparison. So closed units, this year we were at 99. Last year we were at 87. So we kind of talked about that a little bit, I think, last month too, just in regards to contracts that were written. We were going to notice that there was going to be an increase, but a lot of things kind of surpassed last year by quite a bit. And I would not say that we talk about any of the historical stuff where when we were year over year last year, it was like, oh, but it was like, that's kind of all flushed out now. Volume, we were a little bit lower, quite honestly, than we were the year before, even having more closings. So we had 12 more closings, so we had a little bit less in volume, which I find interesting. I think that comes back to inventory going up. We've got some price reductions and some things might be settling in. Listings taken, we took 58, and the year before we took 45. We did take higher in the listings taken volume than we did the year before, but I would always say let's watch what that looks like when it actually closes, right? Because I think there's going to be some adjustment there. Listings sold, we had 43, and we had done 36 the year before. Listings sold volume, we had 25, and we did 20 the year before. Contracts written, I love seeing this number because we are at 95, surpassing last year again at 89. And this just keeps going up for us in regards to contracts written, which means productivity is increasing most likely, especially since we have a lot of agents that are now solo taking listings and getting buyers from those. Contracts written volume, we were lower than last year at 49.3, and there was 53.2 in 2022. Closed GCI. This is where I would say, obviously, there's different factors that go in here. Commission rates goes into this. Obviously, price point goes into this, but closed GCI was at 1.1, and the previous year we were at 1.3. So that's always something that I saw she was on for a little bit. We were talking about average commission, depending on what it was year over year, because sometimes we get into that pattern of negotiating 5.5, 5%, whatever it is. And that affects that GCI pretty dramatically if it is a consistent pattern. So just take a look at that.
Get some pressure on commissions there too.
Yeah. Yep. And then profit share,
I had to look at this again.
so there is something interesting happened because we had advice and someone left and then the cap and,
That could actually, that
this is
should,
actually not right.
it should be
for
3 grand
international,
more.
But that's what international said. So when we talk about business, you have to know your numbers. enough to know that
Yeah, it should be
it's
3 more
international.
grand.
It was a, sorry. Anyway, that's not actually right, but we will still be a little bit lower than the year before. Because the GCI company dollar that was collected off. You guys have questions regarding that? No? Does this feel right, like what was going on in your guys' business?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go.
Just saying yes.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting to me, like the, post units, the listings taken, and then the contracts written, they're all higher, but all the volumes like slightly, lower. And, you know, like, sometimes one is higher, but one is lower, but this month it was like down. Which is interesting.
I'm really happy to see that our units are higher, because I think over time, as I've been saying for like a year, is we have to focus on the units portion. Because we were really lucky with the volume, and maybe it still keeps going up, but we can't bank on that portion. What we can bank on is more and more units, right? We can control that by talking to more people. We can't control the price point all the time on what it's gonna sell for. Fair?
Question.
Yeah.
Cause I was always being told like that across the board that no one's doing that, but you guys are saying people are reducing their commission.
Well, even on the buy side, it might, you know, if you're.
I've been
I'm seeing that on the buy
that.
side. I'm seeing buy sides at 2.5.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it all. I mean, so I'm just curious, like, in general, I know like people might not feel comfortable saying, oh, our team's doing this or whatever, but in
As a-
general, is that happening in our office or people?
As a market center,
Yeah.
2.7 should be no lower ever than 2.7. If you decide to cut your commission, that's on you. That's not on that buyer's
Don't
agent
cut the
at
buy
all.
side, right?
So that's a conversation with me if you're starting to do 2.5, and
Right.
because that's on your negotiation and what you're willing to give up. That's not on anybody else. Plus you need to be really good at telling your seller why you're doing that, because as much as we don't want to say this, and I know this is recorded, if you have two houses they're looking at and you've got more in your pocket and one's 2.1 and one's 2.7, where do you think that agent is going to go?
Right.
I know nobody wants me to actually say that, but that's very real. That is very real in this industry. So that portion of it, you should not be shifting in this market center.
But is our market center from a listing standpoint, because inventory is down, because the amount of agents there are out there is very saturated, are people reducing their commission when they're taking?
I think this is a lag number that you're seeing up on the screen. Those listing and contracts were taken 3 to 6 months ago in most cases. So if I look at the last 30 to 60 days, commissions are back into full swing.
And by
They're
that,
not-
some of
they're not
these are new
reduced anymore.
construction commissions, by the way. Like, so if they're, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's a great point. Like if you look at our top team, you know, for volume.
Yep.
you
So
know,
that's where you have to look at numbers. Like numbers do tell a story. They don't maybe tell the whole story, and that's why you have to analyze them. Why are they the way that they are, right?
We're taking listings at 6.5%.
So to answer that question, no.
But that's not, I mean, that's not everyone, but I'm just saying like, we're not. And if we're cutting anything, I'll chip in the BAC or something.
Here's the thing, right now, there is a push on commission, maybe, but you're gonna be working a heck of a lot harder on your listings right now than you were 6, 9, 2 years ago. Like a lot
the
harder.
conversation's 10 times easier right now in commissions, though. You've got less agents in
Yeah.
competition with you. You've got sellers that know that the market's changing and transitioning. It's like,
But I'm just saying, in regards to your
significant-
value as an agent, and actually, I mean, there's some tough conversations that are happening on the listing side.
I'm happy to share, I believe we have shared before, we have this like variable rate commission sheet. And it's 6, 6.5, and 7. The average person goes for the middle number, and we make it very easy for them to pick the middle number, which is 6.5%.
Right, last one before we go into wants and needs. There are 0 positives across the board on here, if you guys have noticed, like 0 positives. All of them are behind where we were, right? MLS area and our market center, okay? So when we're looking at these numbers, that matters, right? So in regards to closed units though, we were actually outpacing, which means what? We're obviously taking more than other people in regards to market share on that portion of it. Our closed volume was outpacing MLS, not necessarily our area. Listings taken We were outpacing the MLS on that, which means that we were taking market share per what the MLS is saying. However, in our area, we were still lagging behind a little bit in regards to market share for that. Volume, we were down again, kind of behind the MLS and area, which was interesting, but also when you look at those numbers, it did show that our volume was lower than it had been in previous years. Listings sold, we were essentially right on the board. So we are trending with the market. Which to Tony's point, if we're trending with the market, right, for listings sold, somebody else is taking market share because there's less agents out there, right? So they're picking up the slack of the agents that are getting out of the business. And I truly believe that these should be the ones that are taking that slack and outpacing the market with market share. Do you guys agree? Listings volume, we are a little bit behind on that, but pretty comparable to the MLS in the area. Contracts written,
That should be, yeah, 20 point,
wow, that's crazy.
just be 20.
So we are actually outpacing though in regards to contracts written. So as we keep seeing closed units, that number is going to get better and better, and we're going to outpace the MLS most likely month after month after month if that contracts written is keep outpacing. Is that a fair assumption? Then contracts written volume, we're a little low on volume again. Questions regarding this? All right, then let's go into wants and needs.
We have spinning the wheel too, after
Yeah.
wants and needs.
Perfect.
I'm helping this wonderful family find a home, 4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, Minnetonka School District, on a decent sized yard. And they're looking for like a cottagey, like old remodeled farm house or something cute like that. And if it's move-in ready, they'd be willing to pay up to, like, their budget can go up to like 2 million or maybe a little more. But like the further down their budget, they would like to like look at it as a project.
And Terry? Terry,
Yes, I do. I have a house that is going to be strictly off market. And it's in Otsego, absolutely gorgeous home, 595. And it's for
Be gone.
Oh, we lost you, Terry. We can't hear you right now. Oh, geez.
She's
Terry.
going Bluetooth.
Can you hear us?
Something happened.
We'll email Terry and get that sent out in the wants and needs email. Okay, are you still there, Terry? Okay.
Anybody else wants and needs?
Go ahead.
I need something that's move-in ready under 400, does like, looks nice, doesn't need a lot of updates. Pretty much within 20 minutes.
Investor client, multifamily, 370 or less, the West Metro. Willing to look at off-market stuff.
Anything else? All right, let's. Oh,
Am I doing that?
no, I am. Okay, so spin the wheel. If your name is on here, form a line over here and you get to spin for cash. And if you did take a listing that went live, it has to be live last month, and your name is not on here, please feel free to come stand up here. All right? Don't all rush at once to get your money.
The wheel.
You just want to be in front.
You got three. We can just, you know, you can multiply it by 8. So
20.
yeah, I'm trying to.
Just $1.
I'll just send her.
So close, so close.
Look, Elena.
Nice one.
Nice.
Thank
Nice,
you.
nice.
What do you got, Jess?
3.
Uh-huh.
The look on your face. Gosh, another one? One. You're gonna get it. It's gonna be good. You're gonna get some good juju. It was 3-1.
Next week, or next month you'll get them.
Okay. You could get equity bites at Trader Joe's. Maybe the only person who's going.
Pardon?
Where are you all?
Don't know.
Did you spin? You gotta go.
It's,
Can you watch out?
Because I think there needs to be a land in 2 months. Right down this way.
Yeah. All right.
Saturday, we.
So,
What was it, Jordy? I can't see your feathers. One?
Yeah, I've got 5 buyers.
Oh, that was close. Come on, girl. Oh, that's like one full life. Insane.
I had a.
Oh, 13. That's good though.
Right, Tony.
Tony, and, all right, let's see what we got here.
We just gonna just multiply it by 8, yes or no?
Down.
Nice work.
Now I'm trying to convince him does not have.
What was
it.
that?
Gonna get it done.
Oh.
And
Triple it.
that.
No, it's quadruple.
It is.
So everyone's like, red flags go up, like,
Yeah, and
And then
when I
you double
see
that
it,
one, which would
listings,
be 2
the
times 2 is.
instruments.
Let's see what he gets.
Okay, so you know your numbers.
How good.
I know my numbers.
One.
What do you get?
One.
You got
One spin, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
$8.
Another one. So how many, that's 2 spins?
sadly.
Yep.
Just one.
Third
Full
spin.
right now. Could've gotten like.
5. Nice.
I'll count the spin.
Oh,
Maybe after a workout.
one.
I know this multi-task. You just, oh,
Time travel.
One.
Five years
okay, we
ago.
got 3 more. Come on, make
All
these
right,
big ones.
come on.
He's gonna end up with, he's gonna need,
Guard
Yeah, I know.
That's fine.
What time?
All right. Oh, we got a nice one.
Yeah.
Last one.
All right. Make it a big one.
There it is.
Here you go, Tony.
All right, what we got? One?
Money
He's just gonna get 20, like, right away.
Yeah, and she did a nice good spin on that one.
She's shaking it up.
Spin again and double it.
Oh, now she's gonna get 20.
Now it's 20.
Come on.
Please tell me it does.
There are so many ones on that board.
There was.
That's what gambling's all about.
Is there, it should be
What are the
every,
negative numbers?
we do only have 120 and one spin again and double it.
Oh.
You know, the spin again and double it and the 20 should be on opposite end.
Who wants to go get some pizza with me?
Oh, that does sound good. Wait, was Stephanie? No.
I don't know.
Meeting Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that book is like really good. It's like a good foundation. So I can send you the picture of like the pages.
Oh, sorry, Lydia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's only been 2 weeks